I didn't get a recording started, but
I don't know if you're recording.
no, it says it's recording. All right, guys. Hey, that's all right. We can edit this. It's all good to go. Good morning. Happy Friday. It's Fire Friday, and I can't believe it is. I shouldn't have to look at my watch. It's July 12th, and it's my 27th anniversary of being married to Kristen Conord over here. So, please send her your condolences and a trophy for putting up with me for 27 years. We were laughing, coming this January, we will have known each other for 30 years, which is crazy because we're only 35. All right, awesome, guys. We have a great treat in store for you today, so I'm so excited. As you know, on Fire Fridays we talk agent attraction, right? We talk about the EXP platform. Fire, fund your reason. That's what we're all about, is understanding your reason. We talk about finding your reason and then funding your reason. And through the EXP platform, with building your sales business and obtaining stock, and then the agent attraction and the opportunity to serve other people and to bring them into the opportunity is massive. And so how to do it, how to take advantage of it is always the question. And so we bring in people who are masters of it, who have been doing it for years. And so today we have someone who has been in leadership in real estate for a really long time. And when you run a state, right? When you're in charge of managing realtors, managing salespeople, growing a business, teaching salespeople, leading, taking care of them, and all that kind of stuff like that, it's a big responsibility. But when you do it in Texas, right? Everything's big in Texas. So you're talking about a whole lot of people. And I remember when Tony King stepped into the state broker role, overseeing from an operations standpoint for the state of Texas, and what a massive impact he made right away. The feedback, we were at a time of rapid growth, and there's a lot of turmoil with growth. And what happens when a great leader steps in the middle of turmoil is there's a sense of calm that like, oh, everyone feels like someone's got their hand on the wheel. And that was exactly what happened. And from a growth standpoint, it stunts your growth when people are worried. When people are scared, they get deer in the headlights, they don't move, they don't sell houses, they don't go grow things, they're just terrified. And when they feel confidence, then they can get focused, they can then move forward. And that's the impact that Tony had. And then pretty soon we stole him over to the dark side because he's powerful in leading growth. And so we're so excited to have Tony leading growth for us out in Texas and really killing it. My only regret, Tony, is that you and I didn't get more time to hang out together when I was leading growth and you were because you were on the operations side at that time. But man, I love watching. I love what you're doing. I'm loving getting to know you. You're an amazing guy. So thank you so much for hanging with us today. We can't wait to hear from you. We're going to rock and roll and have some fun.
I love it. I love it. Hey, thank you so much, Dave. Kristen, my condolences. I mean, congratulations on today. Wow. How could I say no? How could I say anything but yes, absolutely. The hardest thing was sort of lining our schedules up, right? But I'm glad we finally got it sorted out, because when you asked me, I was like through the moon to have an opportunity to speak with the folks that are sort of closest to you, and this amazing organization that you've built, and all the successes that you've had, right? So it's for you to reach out to me, I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So thank you so much. I'll try not to let everybody down. At least I'll give them my best shot. So typically I start with a promise. And that promise is that this is going to be the best presentation that you've heard on agent attraction, or otherwise the worst presentation you've heard, or most likely somewhere in the middle. So that's my promise. Not a very funny joke, but that's where I usually start, because I'm not an entertainer, right? I'm not a comedian, but I have a little bit of experience on growth and on the attraction front. So I'm going to do a screen share here and go through just a few notes and things that I've picked up over the hundreds and hundreds now, I think, of presentations that I've given to folks looking or that want to join EXP, having been on hundreds of calls now with broker owners, with team leads, with influencers, because that's one of the first questions, like, what do you actually do like on the growth team? It's like pretty much what we do, Frank, myself, Russ, Amy, the others, and we sort of have conversations all day long. So we get the opportunity to hear from people that are interested and know what works, and more importantly, what doesn't work, and why it's so important, and how it helps you sort of fund your goal, and sort of take yourself to that next level, right? So your why, right? So let me do screen share. There we go. So this was a presentation that I put together for sort of a different purpose. I got asked to speak at an event, and they were like, "Come talk about agent attraction." So I sort of debriefed all of the different
Wow.
presentations that
Yeah.
I've given, and all the things that I've done over time. I think somebody's not on mute, but ultimately it's about agent attraction. We already talked about my promise, a little bit about you. I know mostly we're dealing with EXP agents, and then me. So kind of what's my history, what's my story. I know Dave alluded to quite a bit of it, and I'll sort of highlight on some of the high points here. My career goes back 20 years almost, which is crazy to think about, because at least I don't think I look that old. But yeah, I've been in real estate now, or in the industry, for nearly 20 years, and it sort of starts back in the Marine Corps. I had the honor of serving as a United States Marine in Fallujah, Iraq. Had the unfortunate occurrence of getting hit by a roadside bomb while I was over there. Would not recommend it. I was in the front seat here of this Humvee, and yeah, that was pretty much the end of my military career. So got hit by a roadside bomb, piece of shrapnel to the noggin, got brain damage. I maintain that brain damage, not only as an excuse that I get to pull out from here and from now and again, but they actually did award me a Purple Heart for that as well. Unfortunately, the Purple Heart was on the way out the door. Like, thank you for your service. Here's a Purple Heart. Now there you go. So I was actually on my path to being a fighter pilot, believe it or not. And ultimately, I taken the written flight exam and everything. So in another alternate universe, there's another Tony flying, Harriers and stuff, which is cool. But not this one, because I got brain damage. And for some reason, they don't let you fly multi-billion-dollar aircraft if you have brain damage. Go figure, right? So that was the end of my military career. But while I was in recovery, and up until that point, I'd never really been a reader. But when I was in recovery, I sort of went through all of the movies I could watch. Like, you watch every movie in the whole hospital, and got to the point where it's like, okay, I need to read a book. Like, I can't watch everything. I watched all the Star Wars like 4 times, and all the other movies like 5 times. And I got to the point where, like, I was going to read something. So I looked over on the bookshelf. There was only 2 books on this bookshelf, right? Listen, we're Marines, right? So there's only 2 books over there on the bookshelf. One of them was the Bible. I'm already a pretty decent scholar with that, I think. So I wasn't interested in that one. And there was another book over there. Didn't even have a cover on it. The cover was torn off. Half the first chapter was torn out, actually. It was like ratty book, nestled pages, the whole thing. But I picked it up, started kind of thumbing through it, and it was about a Marine. And I was like, okay, this sort of resonates with me. And beyond that, it was about a Marine pilot, right, in Vietnam. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, this is really cool. And so it's really speaking to me, and I'm reading it. I find out later in the book that this is a Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, right? Any Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki readers, fans in the room? Okay, so I see some hands, I see some head nods. So that was sort of a catalyst for me. And I got it, right? I caught it. And I was like, man, this is what I want to do, right? So I got back from my deployment, spent my deployment money on my first investment properties, bought a couple of duplexes, and I started just as an investor, right? So fixing, flipping, that sort of thing. And interesting story. So this is a picture here of a young Tony King. And this again speaks to my brain damage. So one of the things they taught you in the class is you need to be like these bandit signs, right? We buy houses cash and all that stuff. So of course, I think I'm smarter than everyone. And I said, hey, you know what I'm going to do? Instead of buying these corrugated signs, what I'm going to do with my business partner here, we're going to just make a template. So I went and got a poster board, cut out my own template, and I was like, I can get some spray paint and make my own signs, right? I don't have to tell y'all because y'all don't have brain damage. So y'all know how that turned out, which is not very good, right? Not very smart. My garage was covered in like black spray paint. It was ridiculous. So I learned very quickly about the power of leverage, and the power of you don't have to do it yourself, which is a theme that we'll sort of come back to. But that was sort of my beginning. as a real estate career, right? So as an investor, I got my real estate license ultimately just to avoid paying real estate commissions, which I know some other people resonate with that. Started a little boutique brokerage, and at that boutique brokerage, I quickly became the number one agent at the brokerage because I was like, man, I'm making more money. I found out I was making more money as an agent than I was as a flipper and as an investor. So I was like, man, like, hey, I'm gonna go all in. So when I decided to go all in, of course, you need a big brand. So I jumped on the balloon for a little while up here in Frisco, Texas, right sort of north in the suburbs of Dallas, and quickly became the number two agent at that office as well, in the Frisco office. And then that's when I got, but I hit a ceiling. Right. And again, I hadn't quite learned my lesson about doing everything myself because I burnt out. So, my very first year at Remax, I was like a rookie of the year and all that stuff. And number two in the office, crushing it. But I did like 60 or some deals, 50, 60 deals that first year. And it was all me, right? No help, no ISAs, no admins, no nothing. And I was like, oh my God, like this is the worst thing ever. And I know folks like Jay Kinder are doing like 600 deals, and that's amazing. Like it didn't take me that long, at least. So I put that out there. But after about 60 deals on my own, I was like, yo, this is not it. It's got to change. So I went to my broker, didn't really get a bunch of help there. He wasn't able to sort of help me talk about building a team and that's what I decided I wanted to do. Is like, hey, do I want to build a team? Do I want to look at other opportunities out there? Do I want to get my broker's license? If I was going to make a brokerage, what would it look like? Ultimately, I decided to go with a company called Redfin at the time. They were just starting up here in the DFW area, and they brought me on board as the listing agent. And once I got some help, got up to about 125 transactions in a 12-year period, became the number one agent there. And ultimately, they were like, man, like he's crushing it. Why don't we give him a team? So I became one of the first team managers there. From there, broker and vice president, they said, hey, let this guy run the brokerage. So I took over the brokerage. At that time, we had about 200 agents, helped grow that brokerage in Texas as the state broker as well, from about 200 agents to 700 agents. And then history came a knocking again. So somebody reached out to me on LinkedIn, of all things, and let me know about a little opportunity called EXP. So at that time, the designated broker of Texas was stepping down, and interestingly enough, like and once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? So when they shared the EXP model with me, I was like, oh my God, like where has this been? How did I not know this was a thing, right? Because I'm thinking EXP is just another brokerage. Like I was happy at Redfin, I was highfalutin, whatever. I thought I was a man. And but then they opened up my eyes to what's truly possible and what a brokerage can be. So yeah, I got here as quick as I could. I gave my resignation, came over to EXP as the designated broker. At that time, we had about 6,000 agents, give or take, just over 6,000. In today's point, we grew that brokerage in about the 2 to 3 year period that I was a designated broker. We grew from 6,000 agents to 10,000 agents almost now. So, and over 500 teams. That said, uh Dave and a lot of the other growth team and executives took note, and they're like, what the heck is happening in Texas growth wise? And somehow my name got sort of tossed out there, and they offered me an opportunity to join the growth team. And I was like, you mean I get to deal with all the fun stuff I love doing growth wise, and I don't have to deal with the lawsuits and the DRE complaints and the staff and all that kind of stuff that be presents and challenge. So got here ASAP, and it's been sort of history ever since. So started out as director of growth for Texas. Then moved into vice president role here just a couple months ago. So now I'm the VP of U.S. growth for a few different regions. So yeah, that's sort of his background history on me, and that's why I'm here, and why Dave sort of asked me to come and speak to you. Now, more importantly than me, who cares, Tony? I say all that just so that you understand I sort of have some history with this thing, right? I've been doing this for quite a bit. And that said, there is a true benefit to attraction, to this model, to building your own business, not doing everything yourself. Why recruit? Why attract? The reality is, and we got to get off the transaction treadmill, right? This is what we call the transaction treadmill. That's trading time for money. This is the I'll do it myself. This is Tony King in the garage with the spray paint, making a freaking mess, right? So the majority of agents and what the transaction treadmill looks like is sell a house and then find a client. And then you sell a house, then you find a client. Once you've found a client, then you got to sell them a house. And then once you sell the house, then you got to find another client. And it's this thing ad nauseum. And I did that, like I said, 125 times in a 12-month period. It's not fun, right? And that's what led me to realize, hey, there's got to be a better strategy, got to be a better way. Why? Because when 100% of your income is based on 100% of your effort, that means you're taking 100% of the risk. 100% of the risk is on you. What happens if you get sick, get old, you want to retire, you want to go on a vacation, you can't do those things because why? It's because of the fact that it's 100% on you. So the very best thing that we can do is start looking at, and by the way, there's market volatility piece that comes into it as well. So what happens in a volatile market? Are we in a volatile market right now? Absolutely. So when 100% of your effort is based on 100% of what you're doing, let's say that you have a heavy buyer side business. What's happening with the buy side of the business right now, right? It's in turmoil. So, or even on the listing side, right? How's that going to be, excuse me, affected by this new climate that we're headed into? If your income is 100% based on you, it's a very, very scary situation for you, very scary for your family. So you want more time, more money, and more impact. Really, those are the only three issues that an agent faces. And we'll talk more about that and how to sort of speak to that through your attraction conversations. But there's only three things that you have and that every agent, every team leader, every broker is facing. They don't have enough time, or they don't have enough money, or they're not making, they feel, a big enough impact. The sneak peek to this, though, right? TLDR is that EXP is the answer to all three of those. And we'll talk about that a bit here. And by the way, the other reason to attract and recruit, that's how brokerages get paid. That's how brokers, we talked about the ESBI. For those of y'all that haven't read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and sort of that theology, we have what's called the cash flow quadrant. So on the left side, you have the employee and the self-employed. Right side, you have business owners and you have the investors. Most real estate agents, realtors, even team leaders and brokers, a lot of times are operating, they just don't know it. They're operating certainly on this side of the cash flow quadrant as an employee, and then from there to self-employed. A lot of realtors sort of in this range. And then what you're trying to do is shift over to the right side, which is being an actual business owner, meaning you own something that's putting money into your pocket, and then ultimately become an investor where your money's making money for you. By the way, EXP allows you the opportunity really to operate in all four quadrants, but certainly it allows you the pathway to go from E to S to B to I and maintain a business on the right side of the quadrant. So this is me. This is a little bit older. This is Mr. Jarek Robbins. At this time, we took this photo. He was the president of one of our companies. I put this up here because he has a very interesting way of sort of explaining this as I kind of pulled him aside at a build conference. And one of the things that he mentioned was the fact that the difference between EXP and the difference between a revenue share based model is the difference between types of boats, right? So in the top left quadrant, you've got like, this is just me, right? This is the I'll do it myself. This is Tony King in the garage with a spray paint, right? Like I'll do it myself. And then when that person finds a better model, that allows them to be able to have maybe, an engine on it, right? So yeah, you can still go faster, but nowhere near as fast as you can go when you've got some help. Right. So not only do you have a superior model, but when you have that model stacked on top, now we're talking multiplication. And then when you get to a point of actually multiplying that, I mean, if you ever seen one of these boats, they literally fly out of the freaking water, right? Because again, you're talking about multiplication as opposed to addition, as opposed to singular, as opposed to, oh my gosh, like how long is it going to take? We all know the old African proverb, you want to go far, right? Go alone, you want to go fast, go together, right? So that's the sort of mindset behind this. Vast majority of agents, this number is sort of in question, right? Varies from month to month, but ultimately the vast majority of agents, even at EXP, receive very little in revenue share. The question is why, right? The why is because they don't want to be this guy, right? This is the guy that you think of when you think of recruiter, when you think of attractor, you think of like this guy. And you can almost smell this guy. You can smell the cheap cologne, right? I don't know what's up with the heart sunglasses, but you don't want to be this guy. And that's what comes to mind when you think recruiter. But I want to wash everyone's mind. I want to wash everyone's brain from this guy to this guy, right? Let's go into the matrix, right? This is the mindset that you should have when you're approaching your attraction discussions, when you're approaching recruiting. The mindset behind it is that of Morpheus, right? And Morpheus, what did he do with Neo, right? And yeah, I don't think anyone's on this call that's too young. I'm just looking here to know this. I don't have to explain all this, thank God, right? So that said, Morpheus goes and he simply offers red pill, blue pill, right? Offers a better way. And it's up to the prospect, it's up to Neo to just decide which one of these paths that he wants to go down. So you're offering them a choice. You're not trying to sales them to death. You're not trying to be slick. You don't have to have all these scripts memorized. You don't have to have all this cool slick stuff. It's just a matter of offering them a better way. Hey, listen, right now you're on this path. What if I told you there's a better path, right? And give them the opportunity to understand it, and that's it. And then they get to make a decision. It really is that simple. So that's the mindset that we're approaching this from. And I call this attraction the simple way, right? The easy method, pushing the easy button on attraction once you have the Morpheus mindset. So my brother Russ Lagan came up with this. I'm sure he's probably been on. Has Russ been on here before chatting with y'all?
Oh yeah, he's been here.
Okay, a few times probably. Okay, cool. So my brother Russ, give him all the credit. He came up with this thing, which is sort of this agent lifespan, right? And sort of the timeline that an agent goes on. The first thing, everybody starts out here, right? Your agent's starting out here, they're on zero. For those of you that haven't seen this, and you bring your agent out of real estate school. And the first thing they say is, what's their first financial goal? Like I've done this hundreds and hundreds of times. I'm sure Dave has as well. Dave, what does an agent tell you is their first financial goal when they come out of real estate school?
They want to make $100,000.
I want to make if I could just make 100 grand, if I could make 6 figures. And I don't know if they're teaching that like in the schools now, or like, I don't know what the deal is, but it's the same answer every time. I want to make 6 figures, I want to make 100 grand, right? But you and I know the reality is most of them never make it to that point. NAR statistics would show that most of them get to about right here, $40,000, $50,000 a year statistically. And then most of them actually fall off and go back down this curve and quit. And because it's not worth it, they never make it. But for those few that do get to the $100,000 mark, the cool thing is that they realize that was easy, right? Like, hey, I should have set my goal higher. And because they realize, man, that's like what, 10 deals at like 350 at 3%, man. My gosh, like that was actually pretty simple. So I should have set it for 250 or 300, right? And then you have some team leaders that want to sort of grow a team, they get into this 500. But once they get it, so on this way to the curve, money's the problem for them. All right, we talked about the few things that are becoming a problem that you ever face: not enough time, not enough money, not a big enough impact. And money's the problem for these folks. But once they crack through this threshold, once they're making 300, 400, 500,000 a year, then time becomes the problem, right? Because now those broker owners, those team leads, they are working too much, right? These are the folks that, yeah, you're crushing it, but your kids don't know your name. And then the folks that get that piece sort of figured out start looking at an exit strategy and what's their legacy going to be, right? So as we're looking, and now the reality, as we know, they should have been thinking about exit strategy way down here, and EXP allows you that ability to be thinking exit strategy even from here. But the cool thing is that these folks are looking at a different problem. Once they become a legacy brand, they've been in business 20, 30 years, they've been crushing it for a long time. What is their impact going to be? What's their legacy? That becomes the question for them. And again, these are the impact buyers, or sorry, the impact prospects, where you want to speak to what kind of impact are you going to have, what legacy are you leaving behind for your kids and for generations to remember you by, right? And when I position EXP, again, shout out to Russ, this was sort of his deal here, but I'm positioning EXP as the answer to all of these things, right? So I do an agent 1, agent 2 sort of scenario. Right now, your agent 1, these are the folks in this range here. Right now, the broker owners, the team leads, they're dealing with all this stuff that's in this box, right? They got to deal with overhead. They're dealing with tech support. They're dealing with HR, training, office, accounting, legal, compliance, all these things, CRMs, multiple streams of income for their agents to keep their agents happy, healthcare, marketing, all this stuff that they have to constantly deal with. And when you're having the conversation with the broker owner, and we'll get to some of the questions to ask, but really it just becomes a matter of positioning EXP as the brand, in this case, the brokerage model that allows them to leave all this stuff in the box, become agent number 2, and build their brand on top of the foundation. So this is EXP, is this box, and then you get to stand on top. Let us deal with all of these things that are in this box for those legacy folks that are struggling with what's their impact going to be. All right. Another way to do this, and maybe even more impactful, this is the XY axis here. And on this XY axis, you've got your freedom, right? So no freedom down here, lots of freedom up here, complete freedom. And then you also have on this side, you have no money and you have lots of money. Right. This may be even a little bit of a simpler diagram, right? We all come out, we want to smile, right? So when we're starting in real estate, we're starting on this axis here. We're starting with typically no money, but we do have a lot of time, right? So on the Y axis. And the thought is, right, and really where we'd like to typically go is that we start to invest time, so we have less freedom, okay? But we start to make a little bit more money, a little bit more money, a little bit more money. And the prayer is that we get to cross this threshold at some point where now we're on the upswing, where now we get ultimate time freedom and all the money in the world, right? So this is the objective. This is where we all want to make it to. But we know that unfortunately, this is the growth trajectory that most brokerages take, right? And that most agents take, is that they invest time to make more money, time, money. And then you end up down here where you have no freedom, but you have lots of money. Okay. This is the problem. And this is again, where your kids don't know your name, but you're crushing it in real estate, right? Everybody in NAR knows your name, but your kids don't, right? This is where we call this a failure, right? And then unfortunately, we have some folks that end up on this trajectory as well, where they invest a lot of time, but they're not making any more money. Okay. Again, EXP has the solution to these two trajectories, and really the only model that allows you to ultimately get here, where you have ultimate time freedom and ultimate money. Okay. So this is sort of the growth trajectory of an EXP agent versus growth trajectory of a traditional agent versus an agent that just, isn't clicking it, right? They need to be a part of fast cap, or they're not getting the training or doing the right things or doing them consistently. So what's the methodology? Methodology here is, and by the way, Dave, or anyone else, feel free to jump in if you got questions or you want to sort of, if I touch on a nerve, this is not just me sort of doing a presentation. So by all means, jump in there. Methodology. Okay. So there's a couple different forms of attraction. I call this indirect versus direct. Okay. Why do I call it indirect versus direct? So I'll start with the indirect relationship focused model. And this is where I would highly encourage everyone to sort of do this, right? It takes a very unique person to go the direct method, as I'll call it. There's some people that are built for it. If you like cold calling, if you like rejection, hey, do your thing, like, in the direct model. We'll talk about that as well. But the indirect approach is sort of what I recommend for most folks because it's the most natural, it's the most comfortable, and it's based on the relationship. Okay. So I usually start by saying, hey, we need to be interested instead of being interesting. Okay. And what that means is you're not trying to be the flashiest person in the room. You're not trying to be the slickest person in the room. You're not trying to be the guy with the sunglasses. You're simply trying to be interested in the other person, in your prospect, in the individual that you're trying to bring to EXP, asking all the questions, right? Great book for this, which I'll circle on a little bit later, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And one of the things that I get, and again, I don't have scripts. I have very simple sort of bullet points maybe, or things to consider that you want to keep in mind, but I don't go with scripts. My favorite question is, what's your story? Okay. I am naturally a sort of a introvert, I guess, by design. What's your story, right? And I know that there are other folks that sort of struggle with getting out there, like, hey, what do I say? Or hey, when I'm at this event, and we're always told, hey, go to the association events, or go to this event, or go to that. That's how you meet agents. That's how you do this thing. So that's not my vibe. Like, I don't like parties and that whole thing, but I find myself in these environments, and typically the most effective strategies I found is say, hey, what's your story? And then from there, that opens them up, and they go down the road of what's important to them. What do they like? What do they not like? What they do, and all those sorts of things. So, right. So I start out with what's your story. And then another one I know that many of y'all have heard before is forge, right? So as you're asking these questions, as you're, digging into the conversation and you quote unquote don't know what to say, you're just asking questions. F is for their family. Hey, tell me about your family. Are you married, your kids, whatever everything is? Occupation, right? What do you do for a living? Are you full-time in real estate, or like, do you do other stuff on the side, or are you, full-time job, do real estate, whatever the case is. And then R is recreation. What do you do for fun? Right? Very simple questions. And this should be easy to remember because you're forging a relationship with them. G, goals, right? What are your goals? Hey man, looks like you're crushing it in real estate. Like, where are you headed with this thing? Like, what's the goal? Where would you like to be? What's your growth trajectory on this thing? What's the exit strategy? Exit strategy? I never heard of what is, you mean I can have an exit strategy? You mean I don't have to die selling houses? Like, I don't have to put signs in yards and tell I'm too old to do it, and I drop dead in front of, somebody's house at an open house? Has happened, by the way. Anyways, so G, all right. So what's their goal? And then the final E is just entice or intrigue. I think intrigue starts with the I. Entice. So it's like forge, right? So when you ask all of these questions, when you go through family and occupation and recreation and what their goals are and where they're headed, they will ask you, what you do. They will ask you about EXP. At that time, do not talk about EXP. That is the one rule, right? Fight Club, don't talk about Fight Club. When they ask you, do not talk about EXP. Your job is to E, which is just entice them, just a little bit of enticement, and you can base that on everything that they've told you, because they've told you they don't get enough time to spend with their family, or they told you that they really love whitewater rafting or whatever, or they told you that their goal is to go from here to there, or what their exit strategy is. So then the conversation becomes, hey, if I would you, which is one of the strongest sales. Again, I don't have scripts, but this is a very, very powerful language that you can use. Now is not the time or place, but if I would you, right? So now is not the time or place to go into this, because you've intrigued them, right? They're asking you a question. Hey, now's not the time or place, but if I could show you a way to get more whitewater rafting in while still building your business, would you be open to 5-10 minute cup of coffee next week? We can kind of talk about it, right? That's it. If I would you, now is not the time or place. Again, do not talk about it. If you're going to remember one thing, it's that, right? Don't talk about it at that time. Set up a coffee meeting for some time late next week. That's another great line too, I guess, is sometime late next week. And then the tools, right? So I'll talk about tools a little bit, and putting a tool in their hand. Right now, our incredible marketing team with Wendy Forsythe is putting together some awesome tools for you all. Actual videos, like the EXP Explain videos out there. And I know there's a ton of them. They're all over YouTube. And, Brent's got one that's amazing. I know that, the Wolfpack got one. Like there's all kinds of great EXP Explains that are out there. That said, we are going to have our own corporate version of EXP Explain. I see Frank on here. We have our webinar that's out there as well, that Frank did an awesome job with Susan the Brain McLean. And I think it was incredible. But that said, our recommendation is to use the corporate resources. Why? Because they're going to be always up to date. Some of the ones that are out there, may not be up to date. And then, even unfortunately, I've seen it happen where you're sharing a tool that's not sort of that is branded to someone else, right? And then you share that tool, and all of a sudden that person wants to join under them. Hey, man, that's a great video. I want to join under Brent. Right? So you got to be careful sharing someone else's tools. Just putting that out there. The recommendation is to use the tools. We have a great slide deck already that's on the EXP website. We got Frank's video. EXP Explains out there as well. Frank does the EXP Explain, I think, 3 times a day, every day in EXP world. So, and we know he loves that. So we go in there just sometimes and heckle him and support him at the same time. So, yeah, so I recommend certainly doing that. And then after they've watched that video, or once they've seen the resources, went through the PowerPoint, simple question is, hey, what did you like best about what you saw? Okay, what did you like best? The question is not, hey, what do you think? And I don't know, I'm not super strict on that, but the best question you can ask is, what did you like best, right? Because that starts to gear their mind towards what is appealing to them. And then you can sort of follow that with conversation. Me too is the next line, whatever it is. If it's healthcare, I really like the healthcare. Oh, me too. And then you give them a story about how healthcare has changed lives. Again, our marketing team is putting together some incredible stories around every value proposition at EXP that you can pull up on the fly, right? So if they say, hey, I really like the healthcare thing, you can say, oh my gosh, me too. Check this out. And then they play a video of an agent talking about EXP healthcare really made a difference for them. Or is RevShare? Okay, cool. Here's the video about EXP and how RevShare really changed your life. So it'll be something that you can follow up on as well. And from there, obviously, the next piece is tag them into a 3-way call as soon as possible. They're going to have questions about that thing, whether it's the healthcare, whether it's the RevShare, whether it's the stocks, whether it's, Fast Start or Fast Cap or KV Core, whatever the questions are. Oh my gosh, me too. I love that. Hey, I don't know too much about it. Or if you do know about it, hey, listen, let me tap you into one of the agents that's crushing it with KV Core right now. Have that person queued up, right? And give that person a call. Why? Third-party validation. I won't go into too much of that right now, but ultimately, it makes a big difference in your ability to duplicate, right? Because when that new agent, the way you bring someone on board is the way that they're going to bring someone on board. That's important to remember. So if you have to have all the answers and you're there to answer every question they have, they're going to think they have to have every answer to every question when they want to bring someone on board to EXP. Okay. When you introduce someone to the model with a simple video, and then you tag them into a 3-way call with an expert that knows what they're talking about, anyone can do that. Anyone can share the model and then tap them into a third-party resource. Another great third-party resource is the growth team, right? Great plug for the growth team here. If this is a team leader, a large influencer, or if it's a broker owner, by all means, that's what the growth team is here for. We are your third-party tool. We're your third-party partner. Tie us in. We'll help you close that deal. All right. So that's the indirect method. Any questions on the indirect sort of method? I feel like I've been talking too long for like a conversation.
It's great, man. It's great. Great, good stuff. Keep it coming.
All right, so now we got the direct method. Okay, so direct method. By the way, I'm not monitoring the chat either, so I got slides and I got too many windows. So if there's got something in the chat, let me know.
I'll shoot something out. And guys, if you have questions as we're going through this, throw it in the chat and I'll keep an eye on it. And Tony, I'll throw some questions to you as they come through.
Rock and roll. All right, so uh, all right, so now we have the direct method. Okay, this is for again that particular mindset that doesn't mind rejection, which is hey, if that's your thing, go for it. This is sort of what we call the deck of cards philosophy. I call it that because a deck of cards, you got 52 cards, right? And then in there's 4 aces. That's who you're looking for is the 4 aces. And the mentality behind that is okay, I'm just gonna keep turning cards until I find my 4 aces because I know they're in there, right? So this is kind of the turn and burn. Everybody gets a copy. You get one, and you get one, and you get exposure. You get exposure. I'm gonna call. I'm gonna text. And it's just sheer numbers game. It's cool. Like if that's the route you want to take, you will face 50 or 48 rejections in that regard. So be prepared. That said, and some of them may not be so nice. Now, one really powerful question here is, hey, and I actually got this from Dave Conord, right? Scale of 1 to 10, right? How happy are you right now with your current brokerage? Uh-oh, somebody's off mute. So scale of 1 to 10 right now, how happy are you at your current brokerage? What's it going to take to get you to 10? Right. And they will give you everything that you need in order to help them get to 10. And then you simply answer those questions, right? You overcome those objections. Hey, if I would you, right? We're circling back to if I would you. So when they tell you, hey, I'm about an 8 out of 10 right now. Okay, what's holding you back? Leads, man. If I had some leads like that would really take my business to the next level. Okay, well, if I could show you a way to do everything you're doing right now, but add leads on top of it, would that be worth a 5 to 10 minute call? 5 to 10 minute coffee meeting sometime next week? Would that be cool? Yeah, absolutely. I'd be interested in learning about it. Rock on, right? Let me tell you about revenues. Let me tell you about, all the military network and EXP exclusives and referral net, all these different things we got cooking on that side, make it rain and so on, right? So that is sort of, and then the other piece is open-minded. Would you be open-minded to learning about it, right? As opposed to, hey, would you be interested? Maybe not. Would you be open-minded to learning about the EXP platform and the leads that they provide to agents either for free or they can invest in their businesses, right? That's really, really cool. And again, really, really powerful script to help you set that appointment. So this brings us to the growth team integrations. Again, the question I get all the time, what do you and Frank do all day, every day? Frank usually plays solitary on his computer, but me, I'm on growth calls all day long, every day. And the conversations are pretty straightforward, right? It's simple. It's ABC, right? So when I'm on a call with an agent, is hey, where you at right now? Where are you trying to be, right? Where would you like to be in the next 5, 10, 20 years, right? 50 years, whatever the deal is. And then the C part is very simple. It's like, hey, this is how we help you get there. We're going to see if EXP will help you get there. And if it's going to be a fit for you. All right. Very simple. ABC conversation. Where you at, where you're trying to be, and let's see if we can make it work. Ultimately, the question I ask is tell me about your business. And that's where I start. It's like, hey, starting from here, tell me about your real estate business. And again, I shut up, right? Just like when we're, sort of interacting on the indirect method, and I say, hey, what's your story? And let them go. This is more business oriented. Like, hey, tell me about your real estate business. And then they go in, and I'm intentional when asking them, tell me about your business, because that's allowing them, and I'm sort of, I don't say judging, but I'm defining where they are on that growth trajectory on that map that I showed you. And then the other piece is I know what's important to them, right? I'm looking, are they DIS for C on the disc profile? If they start talking numbers and start talking, oh yeah, we did 17,000 sales and 14, and like okay, I'm dealing with a numbers person. I'm gonna have to talk to them on a numbers level. If they start talking about the potluck dinner they had last Thanksgiving and how they go to the beach every Friday, and I was okay, cool. Like I'm dealing with someone that really likes to have fun, and culture is important. We're going to talk about culture. We're going to talk about in real life events and different things like that. So that's important. I sort of let them go and let them talk. There's many times I'm able to help agents make that decision and get off the fence about joining EXP without ever talking about rev share, without ever talking about what most people consider is the value proposition of EXP, because I just shut up and let that particular broker owner or that team leader tell me what's important to them. We just talk about that, and they're ready to go, right? So and I'll leave another note here. It's not on the slide, but once they say yes, shut up. That one took me a long time to learn the hard way. Remember, brain damage. But I used to sort of go through and keep talking them to death about yeah, but let me tell you about rev share. Let me tell you about healthcare. Let me tell you about like, and they said yes, like 2 days ago, right? So that's maybe something to add to your notes as well. Speak to them about what's important to them, and then shut up, right? Assume that they got it, and hey, let's talk about transition. My closing question, by the way, if you want that, it's how many listings do we have that we need to transfer over, right? So that's a game changer in terms of getting that conversation going about transitioning. Assume the sale and ask them how many listings we need to transfer. Next up, what do you like? What do you not like to do? Again, I'm just asking questions to promote them and get them talking about their business and what's important to them as I'm sort of breaking and building icebreakers at the same time. And then I'll bring up that graph I showed before. I'll also bring up that box platform that I showed before. So again, I'm breaking it open. I'm giving you the whole sort of playbook that I use. I think Russ uses it as well. A lot of stuff I stole from Russ. Some of the stuff I stole from Frank, and some of the stuff I made up. Right, so it's a combination. Next piece brings us to onboarding, right? Because after we go through this, they all want to onboard. My closing question got them, right? I said, hey, how many listings do you got to transfer? Let's pull it up on MLS. Okay, we got 20 listings. Oh, that's easy. We can have that done by this time tomorrow. Okay, cool. So the onboarding. Now, this is not EXP onboarding. I'm talking to you as a sponsor. This is sponsor onboarding. I need to change this slide. So that said, the very first thing you want to do when you have someone come on board is have them make a list, right? We're not doing this. The broker team's not doing this. Integration is not doing this. This is you as the sponsor. Hey, let's make a list of every agent that you know right now. And you are doing this with them, okay? Because they're helping you build your business. They are your business in a very real sense, right? So this is important. Don't skip this step. Very first thing, once they're onboarded to EXP, let's sit down together. Let's make a list of every agent that you know, because I'm going to help you call them. These are the ones that are excited about rev share, okay? So I will call them for you at first, then we'll call them together, and then I'm going to be with you and walk you through the steps of having these conversations about EXP with every broker that you know, as well as help you with your social media announcements and all those kinds of things. By the way, Wendy and her teams, the marketing team's putting together some cool templates for you as well to be able to use in that, at least on the social media side, in making your announcements. But make that list. And then beyond that, I recommend daily contact for that first week. Okay. Now, EXP is amazing. Our onboarding team's amazing. We've made incredible strides under Chris Pachenko and the awesome staff that we have on the onboarding piece, but it's not perfect. I mean, we have hundreds and hundreds of agents joining EXP every single day. We don't have hundreds and hundreds of onboarding staff members. Well, we do, but we're outnumbered. Let's put it that way, right? So, and every story, every case is different. They're joining teams. They're joining as a brokerage. They're doing mergers. They're independent agents. The whole thing, right? You are their sponsor, okay? So, as their sponsor, I recommend that you have a conversation with that agent every single day for at least, at minimum, the first week. Ideally, first 2 weeks really is the best scenario. And just checking in with them. Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? Hey, did you get your stuff set up? Anything you need from me? Any resource? Oh, hey, did you get workplace set up? Again, you are their sponsor. We need your help as well, right? So plug in. This is not like, hey, sponsor and never hear from again. That's not how you grow a sustainable business. And I talked to the best of the best, and I've tapped into the best of the best. This is what they do. They have onboarding specialists that will check in every single day for weeks. Okay. Now, that's the next piece. Once you get them once they're fully onboarded and rocking and rolling, my thought process, they're not fully onboarded until they've also brought someone to EXP, right? So, and or close their first transaction at EXP. So I would say, hey, you may want to contact them daily or at least weekly until they have either sponsored an agent on their own or until they have closed their first transaction. I would say that's the most critical step. And that also, Susan McLean will tell you, that indicates how long they're going to be at EXP typically. That's a big marker for their long-term success and how long they stay here and whether or not they're successful. So recommend that at least daily, if not weekly, until they close their first deal or bring an agent over. And then monthly sort of just check-ins. Okay, I know it's a pain and I know you may not want to do it, but if this is you asking me, how do I build an incredible revenue share organization? I'm giving you the answer. Whether or not you decide to do it, I can't help you. That's on you. But I recommend monthly calling everyone that's on your front line. Monthly, every single month, reach out to them for some reason, some purpose. Hey, happy 4th of July. Hey, happy, whatever. Just reach out to them for whatever reason, just to check in with them, just to connect. The majority of folks that leave EXP, again, Susan will tell you, they feel like they're on an island. They feel like they're left alone. They feel like no one cares, no one's plugged in. By the way, again, we got, like in Texas, we got 13 managing brokers. We got like 10,000 agents. Okay. So yes, the managing brokers, the staff is reaching out. We have a campaign where we're reaching out to agents every single day, but we're just outnumbered. Okay. You are a sponsor, you're less outnumbered. All right. So I recommend that, picking up the phone monthly basis, and then on milestones as well. When they close their first transaction, and by the way, our staff is putting together some incredible resources on the My EXP app. If you don't have that, get it. If you got to get the updated version, it's incredible. And there's going to be an even better one next month, wherein you can literally see these milestones as they happen in real time. Someone closed a big deal, someone closed their first transaction, someone just capped, someone hit icon, right? That's in your organization. You can see that. You can send them a message. And we're even working on, Frank, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, right? So we're even working on a down the road, an opportunity to send gifts to them, whether it's a handwritten note or whether it's like something just cool that you can actually send them and pay for and send it to them. So we're working on that as well. And all that's going to be a part of the My EXP app. But until that happens, there's nothing wrong with just reaching out and saying congratulations when they hit these major milestones or they hit their anniversary. Again, I just gave you like 5 different great times to reach out, right? First transaction, capping, icon on their anniversary, and then any other time you just want to check in, right? Birthdays, all that kind of stuff, right? So I recommend just staying plugged in at minimum your front line. Why do I say front line? Again, because the way you bring someone into this business is the way they will bring someone into this business. You have to be that leader that you want them to be, right? So if you're reaching out to them on a monthly basis, they think that that's the way that they're supposed to bring someone in and check in on a monthly basis. So again, I highly, highly recommend that. Finally, leave you with some books. I've talked about already how to win friends and influence people. Everything I talked about today that I did not steal from Frank or from Russ, I stole from Brian Carruthers. So check his book out, Building an Empire. He was down actually chatting with the Alpha Group not too long ago. I guess that was back in I don't remember. All the months run together. But anyways, great guy. Personal hero of mine. He's a master of the network marketing industry, but a lot of the stuff that I talked about here today got from him, but it's nowhere near the exhaustive list. So this is one of the most incredible books you can read on attraction. He's personally attracted over 5,000 people to his business opportunity. So great resource there. Finally, peace. Hit me up. We can connect. Obviously, these are all EXP agents. So hit me on work chat or workplace. Yeah, workplace chat. Hit me there. And otherwise, if it's not EXP folks, or if you want to tap me in, at the Tony D King on everything, right? So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. My teenage daughter has me on Discord, whatever the heck that is. But it's the same name on all of them. So yeah, if you want to hit me up, we can chat. So that's it, man. That's all I got. I'm out of here. See you, Dave. No, I'm kidding. What do we got for questions?
That is awesome. That is awesome. Here, let me do this here. There we go. We got everybody. Man, that's such great. I took notes like crazy. So really great. I think everyone else is in the same boat. I think everyone has been scribbling notes and just absorbed. We don't have any questions in the chat right now, but guys, if you have some, feel free to throw it in. We got a couple more minutes with Tony. And Tony, I'm going to go back for 1 second to the thing you were talking about, the time and money, right? That whole curve and the freedom and everything else. What's funny is, initially, people trade time for money, right? So they give their time to go make the money. And then as they build success, they fight to do the opposite and they start trading money for time. Right? Like, I'm going to pay someone to cut my grass. I'm going to pay someone to do this job. I'm going to pay someone to go put my signs in, right? Because I'm trying to get time back. 100%. So it's crazy how, we race to the other end of the spectrum, right? Without thinking about that sweet spot in the middle about building a life. And I think when people chase the money and they don't chase the life, that's the problem, right? And then, so we 100%. Have a chance to, when you get a top agent sitting in front of you, that's typically their issue, right? Is trying to get quality of life back. And the question I always get is, how do I get quality of life back without losing the income that I've become comfortable earning, right? Like
100%.
How do I get the time back? But I don't I know how I get time back. I sell less, or I spend more money leveraging, but now I have less income. Like, I don't want to make less. I want to have more quality of life, right? That's the question that EXP provides the answer for. That no one else. There's no other real estate company that provides that solution. I can train you, I can teach you how to build a team, I can teach you how to do all this leverage and everything else like that. But there is no other way in the real estate sales business to get the income and the time. There's no other way. There's no other way. You go build a team and go hire more people. Guess what? Now you're leading a team of people. You're running a company. You don't have more time, and you probably don't have more money.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't work that way. It's got to be the leverage, which is really the key. And I think so. What's worked for you to get that light bulb to come on? Because I've talked to a lot of top agents, right? And I don't want to recruit like that. Yeah. I want this. I don't know if you've seen that video where it says it's not the nail, and that like the husband and the wife are arguing, and she keeps talking about her symptoms and everything else, and she's got a big
Oh yeah.
like an 18 gauge framing nail in her forehead, and he's like, well, you have this nail, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's not about the nail, right?
The nail again, right? Yeah. I've seen that.
So you got a top agent in front of you, and they're trying to figure out how to keep their business running, how to get time and money. And they go, yeah, but I don't want to recruit. And you're like, it's the leverage. It's the quadrants. Have you had any kind of light bulb?
And this is something that I've recently started using, is this term of vertical integration, right? Into your real estate business. And when I say that, I see sort of a light bulb come on for them, because I help them understand that these things are not mutually exclusive. Okay. What I'm talking about is building vertical integration strategies into your existing real estate business. So you keep doing what you're doing. Last year, you did 150 transactions. Amazing, right? Do those same 150 transactions, but let's add some additional streams of income, or as we call it, vertical integration, into your real estate business model, where now not only are you making that, but you're making additional income. You're thinking short game and long game. Right. So, and I ask you another question is, out of those 150 deals you did this year, how much are you going to be paid for those next year? Approximately, right? Zero, right?
Yeah.
So, and I sort of let that linger. So when they started to realize, hey, I can still get paid on some of these other integrations down the road, year after year after year, do it one time and continue to get paid, versus selling houses. And I think that's where a lot of folks fall into the pitfall, right? Is when they start considering that it's either or. Like, I don't want, because what they're saying is, I don't want to stop doing production and start learning agent attraction. It's okay, you don't have to. You had 150 conversations last year. You had 150 relationships, intimate, really, relationships with all these agents last year. Okay. I can help you. We'll show you how to reach out to them, how to connect with them, and just build some integration going forward. So that sort of helps.
I love that. And I like that terminology too, right? Because when you think about, like, when you hear about multiple streams of income or passive income and all that other kind of stuff like that,
it sounds like a hype. You got to get your sunglasses on, like those hard sunglasses out, right? Exactly. Open up the vest and all that, right? So but when you talk vertical integration into your real estate business, now they're thinking like a business owner.
Yeah, that's great. I love that terminology. I'm going to start using those words immediately. That's so good. Yeah. So the concept of vertical integration, I love that. All right. So what about newer agents coming in who think they can't recruit because they're not selling a ton of houses, so nobody wants to listen to them?
And again, I think it goes back to what their goal is, right? So if it's someone that wants to just sell houses, fine, we don't have to talk about rev share, okay? Let's just talk about how we're going to help you sell more houses, okay? Again, this all the way back to what we're talking about is like, hey, what's important to the prospect? If it's important for that prospect to close 10 deals next year, and that's all they can foresee for their real estate career, at least for now, is close those 10 deals and get that 100K, right? Cool. I tell you what, we have an incredible program that we just launched called Fast Cap, and it will take you there, right? So, and just talk about what some of the benefits are there.
So for some of our folks that are newer agents, and they want to take advantage of revenue share, but they're afraid they have no validity. So they want to recruit, but they're afraid to go out and have the conversation, because they think, why would someone listen to me? If I'm going to go talk to a productive agent, why would they listen to me and come over to EXP, right? And so they don't call people because they think that no one's going to listen to.
And that's a limiting belief, right? So it's limiting in that you are thinking that you are the opportunity, right? And that's when we're back to Morpheus, is that Morpheus is not the opportunity. He's offering the opportunity. So when you consider it that way and say, hey, look, I don't know real estate from a can of paint. Okay, I don't, but I think I have something incredible here. Would you mind checking this out? Right. And I think that, and again, goes back to that book with Brian Carruthers. He talks about three different levels of these conversations, right? So you have red, blue, and green, I think as he calls them. So the reds are the people that are way above you, or above your social status, or people that have closed, as you're talking about your prospects. Maybe this is like the market leader. Okay. So that person, you're going to them with the posturing of, hey, I'm new to this thing. I'm seeking your advice. If I could be half as successful as you are, I know that I'd be incredible in real estate. I think I really have some. I think I'm onto something here. Will you check this out for me and let me know? Because remember, the goal is to get them to see it, right? It's not to get them to judge you, right? So it's just a pathway to get them to see the information, to check out the video, check out the webinar, check out whatever that tool is that you're using, the slide day. And then you have a peer that's on your same level, maybe someone you went to real estate school with. They also haven't closed any homes. Hey, listen, if we're on that same level, I tell you what, man, I've been trying to close my first few transactions now. I think I have the pathway to do that, right? We both been trying to get into this real estate thing and take off. So I think I got something. Check this out. I'd love for you to check it out. Tell me what you think. I think this might be this fast cap thing might be the trick that gets us there. Right. So that's this person that's at the same level. Then you have someone that looks up to you, right? Because there are folks that, believe it or not, even though you never sold a home, you went through the classes, you got your real estate license. There are people that look up to you and want to know, how can they follow in your footsteps? How do I get my real estate license? How do I do this? Right. So you can talk to the people that are sort of below you on that curve, and very much say, hey, listen, if you want to be like if you want the success that I'm seeing, check out this opportunity that I have. And then you just sit them down and say, hey, watch this. Right. So that makes it easier. So
Yeah,
that's how you sort of attack that at each level.
Good. We're getting some good comments in here too on how helpful this is. So that's awesome. I know we're up against the end of the excuse me, up against the end of the time. But man, I got all kinds of notes from you, man. I got all kinds of notes, and I've done this a few times. So this is great. Guys, you have a phenomenal resource, right? You hear Tony talking, we know Frank, right? You've got Amy and Russ and everything else like that. So as you're going through and you have questions, you have access. You don't like it's amazing that Tony's able to come here and share this for an hour with us. But as you're out there, if you have questions, everything else, you don't want to hear. I'm happy to help you anytime, right? But you don't want to hear from me every time, and my style might not be your style. So if something's resonating, with you here, Tony's available. You reach out to me, gave you all of his contact information, hit him up in Workplace. You feel like, man, I've got someone who I feel really would love Tony. Let me get Tony on the phone. And that's a big part of, what he does as a vice president of growth. So, yeah, awesome. Hey, I want to throw out one quick plug. We've got Build 24 Northeast coming up. There's builds all over the place. Tony, I know there's one in Dallas. That's going to be
Michael Valdez and I are speaking there. It'll be great. But yeah,
that's awesome. That is awesome. So guys, get to a build in your local market. And we would love, if you're anywhere near the Northeast, there's only one happening between Charlotte and Maine. And that's the Build 24 Northeast happening in Northern Jersey at the beautiful Crystal Springs Resort. But guys, the room block is about to expire. Okay. And so the rooms are, it's $399 for the room, but you're getting a king suite at this incredible resort for that price. But when the room block expires, it goes to the actual price, and that's double. We literally got a 50% discount. You're gonna have to pay like $700, $800 to get a room there. That's the normal cost per night to get these rooms. So you want to get registered and get your room before that expires. But guys, this event is going to be incredible. You're going to hear from people like Tony on stage for 2 whole days and be able to hang out. And if you get a VIP,
don't run them off, Dave. Like, I thought you're trying to get them to come to this thing.
Yeah, I think they were impressed today, man. So look, guys, just get out there and do it. Right? Get out there and do it. You can see it. You've got some incredible steps here. I'm going to post this recording so you can go back and look at Tony's steps, and you have the indirect and the direct. And remember, right? Like he said, the homes that you sold this year, how much are you going to make on those sales next year? Right? You can list a home and get paid once. You can list an agent and get paid for a lifetime. All right. So it's that concept. Think of it about it. Listing agents. I'm a listing agent. I list homes and I list agents. I'm going to go list both. And the one is going to pay me today and the other one's going to pay my grandchildren. Okay. It's an awesome, awesome opportunity. Build your leverage now. Build it now. Build it over time. You don't have to rush. Don't freak out and be like, I need to go get 500 people right now. Go get one, right? And then go get a second. You've seen Gene's napkin math, right? Just go work on that and then go help those people do it and build that. And then over time, 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, you have incredible leverage. And now you don't have to trade time for money or money for time. Now you get both. Time and money is better than time or money. Amen.
Preach.
All right, y'all. Tony, thanks again, man. I appreciate it. Have an amazing weekend. Guys, love you. Have an awesome weekend. Reach out, anything we can do for you. And we will see you soon. Tony, anything I can ever do to repay you for your time and expertise, any way I can ever be of service to you, please, please, please don't hesitate to ask.
I'm glad I got that on tape. Thanks, y'all. Have a wonderful weekend.
I appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Nick.